Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Fearless Piggy Bank. My name is Evelyn, and this is actually my very first video for this channel. Very excited for everybody to be here. And basically today what I'm going to do is break down my current finances. That way you guys have sort of a foundation on where I'm starting, and you get to know me a little bit too along the way. So, what is my current situation? So just to give you guys some context, I do currently live in what's considered a high cost of living city in the Midwest. Not very hard to guess, but just to kind of give you a little bit of perspective, yes, the rent is expensive, everything's expensive, but also to take into consideration that also taxes are really high here as well. So a good chunk of my paycheck does go to taxes. So just want to give a little bit of context there. I am in what's considered a DINK situation, so double income, no kids. Me and my boyfriend currently live together. We do have a sort of agreement. There might be a little bit of controversy around it, but essentially because he currently makes a lot more money than I do, but has a lot less time than I do, he essentially does pay for rent in full as well as groceries. And my job is to keep the household running. So just making sure everything is clean, making sure our pet is clean. We have a bunny, and essentially cooking for both of us throughout the week as well. So I am in a very privileged situation where I don't have to pay for rent out of my own pocket. But I do consider keeping up with the household, I guess essentially as like my part-time job that I do when I leave my actual full-time job. My goal is to pay off debt and to invest at the same time. I know a lot of people focus on paying off debt first and then going into investing. But for me, paying off debt and investing is really important because I don't want to start off at zero once I'm done paying my debt. I would like to have, some savings and some investments once I reach that point. And essentially what I'm doing now is what I wish my 20-year-old self did. So I will be sharing, my mistakes, as you'll see in my debt breakdown. And I'm 30 at the moment, but we can't go back in time. We can only move forward. So I'm just taking those lessons that I learned in my 20s and trying to apply them to my future at the moment. But if you're a younger listener, definitely pay close attention because it really does make a difference. Even just having this knowledge a few years ago would have been super helpful for me. Would have saved me a lot of headaches, as I'm sure a lot of you would agree, but we can only move forward from now. And then the last point that I have here is that I will be completely transparent about my numbers, which is why I essentially will be running this faceless account. So transparency is really, really important to me. It's something that I actually really admire of other content creators when they're really transparent about their numbers. It's not easy. You risk feeling judged or getting mean comments, but I think it's really important just for awareness, especially if you're not really sure how you stand with your own finances. Having that transparency come from other content creators really helps navigating your own finances too. So that is something that I want to do. So if you guys do have any questions and you're not sure, like, oh, will she be able to answer this, or this might be a little bit too invasive, please ask me. I am very nosy myself. When it comes to transparency, I just think money should be an open-ended conversation. And yeah, I think we're beyond the point where it's, something that's not talked about in public. I think we definitely have to at this point. So now on to the juicy part, my debt breakdown. So here you can see we have, I guess, a visual of me with a really big snowball. So my method of paying off debt is the snowball method. So we can see that there are 3 debts. Now, it has taken me a very long time to even get down to just 3 debts. 2024 was a year in which I worked 2 jobs. I switched jobs a lot to try to make more money because I really, really wanted to get down and consolidate my debt as much as possible. So the first one that I have is Tally for $1,500. Tally is actually no longer a company or a business anymore. They now sold their loans to somebody, so a different company, and now I'm paying them. But essentially the goal was that they would help you with your debt, or if you were like in a pinch, they would like pay off your credit cards for you for the month, and then you would pay them. As you can imagine, this became a really bad habit for me where I was constantly using them, and I basically maxed out how much they could pay for me. So now I owed them like $5,000. So I really worked on bringing that down this past year, and now it is down to $1,500, which is a huge accomplishment for me. I've worked really, really hard to get this number down. And as you can see, it is the lowest at the moment, so it will be the first one that gets paid off. And I, of course, will keep you guys up to date on when that happens and make a video about that. The next debt that we have here is Upstart. So I don't want to share too much right off the bat, but do want to say that some of this debt is not debt that I directly accumulated. It's some debt that I have decided to take on for family, just for a lot of different reasons. It's a really long story, and if you're interested, please let me know and I can definitely share. But I do just want to make that association, just because, you know, I may not have a very specific reason on why this number is so big, but just do consider that some of this I did decide to take on for family, as a way to give back. So Upstart is a personal loan, and, you know, is it personal to me? Not necessarily, but I have decided to take it on, and that is for $5,500. This loan started off at, I kid you not, $13,000. So you can just imagine how hard I've been working and how long I've been paying this off for to bring it down to the number that it is today. It is still a very high number. I wish it was gone, but it still exists, and all we can do is pay it off little by little every month. So that will be the next debt that I pay down. And then this last one here, Take Charge America, the biggest one I have. So Take Charge America is a debt consolidation program. They actually talk to the different credit card companies that you have and negotiate for a lower interest rate and usually lower minimum payments as well. They consolidated, I want to say, probably 6 or 7 credit cards. Now, you do have to pay them $50 every month. So I will say, just to be, here we go with the complete transparency, if you're able to negotiate to a lower interest rate with your credit card on your own, definitely go that route, because then, especially if you only have like 1 or 2 credit cards you're trying to pay off, because then you don't have to worry about paying them the $50. That is a service that I'm using from them, because I give them the minimum payment and then they distribute it among the credit cards. So that is something that, you know, you can definitely look into. Yeah, if you're able to just negotiate that rate on your own, definitely try that first. I was in a point where I was really desperate, and I was just really scared if I was even going to be able to make it to the next month for all these payments that I had. So they were really, really helpful at the moment that I needed them. So I wholeheartedly am okay with paying them $50 every month for navigating this for me. Once I pay off Tally and Upstart, they of course will be my last debt. So I will be wholeheartedly really focusing on paying it down as well, so that I can bring that number down and reach the point where I don't have to pay them as well for this service. But I think it's a very well-deserved fee for just the amount of help I've received from them, amount of mentoring I've received right at the beginning as well too. So that is my debt. And so how much income am I working with in order to pay this down little by little every month? So in terms of my income, I am currently making $28 an hour. I do work full-time, so I do have benefits through my employer. I make about $1,600 per paycheck. This is post-taxes, post-healthcare costs, all of that fun stuff. So that is about how much I have for take-home pay. I do get paid bi-weekly, so there are, I think, 4 months where we get paid 3 paychecks instead of 2. So that can make a little bit of a difference, but usually it's just 2 paychecks per month. And in terms of my position itself, so I am a customer success specialist. I've been in customer success or client service, both, for quite a few years. It's kind of the job that I've gone back to a lot. And honestly, I have to say it's probably one of the jobs that has paid me the most without being in tech. I was in tech before and they definitely paid me significantly higher. But as you guys know, the tech bubble burst. And I'll go into that later on. So that is currently my income. So that is the money that I'm working with every month. I don't have any like side hustle money. I'm not working 2 jobs at this point because I burned out this past summer. So I'm definitely just doing 1 job. And I do commute quite a lot. So it does take me quite a bit to get there and back. I would say it does range about 2.5 to 3 hours commute daily in total. So, there's pros and cons. Pros, obviously, I'm getting paid a little bit more than I typically would at a different company that's not tech, that's in the customer success field. Obviously, the cons are the commute. So, that's just something to think about. But again, I do want to be transparent about kind of what I'm working with in order to pay off debt. And yeah, so that is a wrap on my very first video here. I hope this has been helpful, again, in kind of setting the tone on what my goals are, what numbers I'm working with. Again, a huge emphasis on the numbers because that's something that I really want to be open and transparent with you guys so that you can see that, if I'm able to do it, kind of what has worked for me. I will say this is a period of time where, again, I'm very privileged to not be paying rent or groceries. So I am trying to take full advantage of this time to pay off as much as possible before I do have to start doing that again. That way I have that wiggle room and I'm not stressing out about that on the side. So a little bit of a unique situation starting off the new year, but that is something that I do want to again emphasize. I am very privileged on that note. Next coming videos will be, budgeting, paying off debt little by little. I also want to do a low buy 2025 year, so there's a lot of different topics we can definitely get into. But please let me know if you have any questions so far on what I've shared, future video ideas. But very nice to meet everybody, and I'm really excited to build this community with you guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.